All right, coming up, the longest-serving federal MP since Billy Hughes, Philip Ruddock, will be on the virtual couch. But it's time to bring in a little bit of mayhem and insanity to the conversation. The panel in place, Senator Hollie Hughes, Prue McSween and the former Senator himself, Graham Richardson. Welcome, team.
Hello, Smithy and insanity people.
You've just hidden your drinks behind the side of the screen, haven't you? Come on, fess up.
No.
Where are your drinks?
I'm in the studio.
No, here's my water.
Oh, I trust you, Richo. I don't trust the two girls. I'm sorry. Now, listen, this debate over the DOHERTY vaccination... this debate over the DOHERTY vaccination thresholds threatens to derail our freedom, even at 80% vaccinated. Prue, they wouldn't dare, would they?
Oh, they would, because every decision these premiers are making is a political decision. It's not a health advice decision. And they love the power, as Mark Latham so adequately said, was they don't want to relinquish it. They love the control that they have. You know, you may be surprised to know that I'm quite a goody two-shoes. I'm quite a law-abiding citizen, and I would never contemplate, usually, going against the law. But I have to say that I have some empathy for the people. I'm talking about the normal Aussies, not the activists who sadly hijack a lot of these protests. Yep. But, you know, we are sick of the politics that are being played. Those of us who are doubly vaccinated will take to the streets if they do not give us the freedoms that we deserve and were promised.
Yes. Now, Richo, the science says, and Nick Coatsworth made this point today, that in 2 weeks, hospitalisations will drop because of this incredible steep trajectory of vaccinations. People don't understand where we're going to be at the 80% level, do they?
Well, I don't. So I wonder how anyone else does. And there are two things to say about that. One is the consistency is only in the inconsistency. The messages vary from morning to night.
True.
And I wonder how in hell the ordinary Aussie is going to make out whether they should follow the morning instruction or the evening instruction. Because I don't know the answer to that. I wonder who does.
And the second point?
I've forgotten what that was, mate. I made the first point way too long.
He had his dim sims today.
It's too strong, Richo.
You're a classic. You are a classic. All right, Hollie Hughes, I want to talk about Year 12. Can we really have Year 12 sitting in outdoor settings doing an exam? It better not be a rainy or windy day.
Look, it's just ridiculous, and the whole thing is out of control. I mean, when we talk about these premiers and their power-hungry behaviour, it is just appalling. And adding, you know, Year 12 students having to do their exams outside is absolute insanity. I mean, imagine trying to do some of these papers and I assume they still use papers as opposed to computers. I mean, maybe we're all showing our age here, but,
True.
you know, I mean, can you imagine with a bit of wind? It'd be just insane. And, you know, what is one of the things that I've been having some discussions with colleagues across the political aisles? You know, one of my colleagues from the Labor Party, when we were talking last week, said we are destroying a generation of children. And it's these persistent lockdowns. It is this moving of the goalposts. It's absolutely power-hungry premiers. And I think we can end the daily press conferences. They put these great little tiles out now on their social media with how many cases there were, but, you know, if they want to do press conferences, I want to see how many hospitalisations, how many were vaccinated, and I want to see how many mental health admissions to hospital they were. You know, we saw 8 suicides of teenage girls in Victoria, and the chief health officer there walked away from it. It was a tragic death of a 15-year-old in New South Wales with a significant comorbidity that actually caused the death. Yep. We have seen 8 suicides of teenage girls, and we have seen increasing numbers of self-harm. Lifeline is seeing record numbers of phone calls. Enough is enough. And, you know, this rubbish they're now saying, and Albo coming out is an abomination, saying at 80%, oh, it's not quite the DOHERTY numbers. It is this uncertainty that people can't bank on that is creating more and more mental health anguish, and it has to stop.
Yeah, absolutely. An education lecturer said to me today, Prue, hey, listen, they have gone through 2 years of cruel treatment at the hands of COVID-19. Let them off doing the the VCE or the HSC. Let them off doing it, assess them from what they've achieved up until now, and give them a break.
100%, Smithy. You know, this generation has been betrayed by all this woke so-called education anyway. Then they have to cop this terrible uncertainty, the fact that they've been trying to homeschool, that it's totally inadequate. And I think putting them through this idea of, you know, an exam, even though they've missed so many milestones as well in their lives.
Yes.
Now, this is a generation that's going to need some, you know, instead of making them do that, give them some hope, give them some mental health help, because that's what they're going to need. They're going to be prepared for life. These kids will be scarred for so long, and they need to have, I believe, a program that is going to help them cope and become resilient. I mean, we've got a resilience, what is he, a minister or whatever he is?
Commissioner.
And I really like him, but the point is, what the hell are you doing, mate? We've got to build some resilience and heal these poor kids.
Yeah. The past 48 hours, Richo, has seen the torture and the killings continue in Afghanistan, picking up from where they left off 20 years ago. What do you say about what is a complete and utter mess?
Well, I wonder what Joe Biden expected. I mean, if you walk out, if you just quit the fight, then what happens with barbarians is they will continue to lop off heads at will. Yeah. And that's exactly what's happening now. Innocent people being dragged from their homes and slaughtered. And we all knew this is what would happen. That's why we went there in the first place. And it just seems to me to be extraordinary that the US can allow this to pass with just so little angst. If ever you've seen them turn tails and run, this is an absolutely prime example. What they ought to be doing is saying to the Taliban, we'll bomb the crap out of you if you don't start to treat people properly.
Well, there's my question
to you,
do that. Well,
they won't go back again because they've got their tail between their legs and they're not accustomed to defeat.
You wonder whether, at the end of the day, we should have gone after the Taliban and not Osama bin Laden, Hollie?
Well, I mean, it's just horrific what's happening to the women in particular in Afghanistan already, and the way the clock has turned back. But my heart really does truly break also for our, serving men and women who spend a great deal of time over there. I'm sure we all know people that have done more than one tour. And a lot of them that I've been speaking to can say they saw 20 years ago that this was not working, that the plan was never really in place in the way it should have been. And they are devastated to see the work that they put in, the effort that they put in. And the fact, I have one friend that was over there for 9 months, got off a plane when he got back to Australia. Not one person was there to shake his hand and say thank you for your service. No. And that to me is absolutely appalling and sums up the way too many of our servicemen and women have been treated, particularly in this Middle Eastern exercise. And I think we need to, whilst it's terrible for the Afghanis, we need to remember how hard those at home are feeling that did, not only some people, we have 41 Australians give their lives, but a lot of these servicemen and women have long-lasting scars, and this is certainly not helping contribute to their healing.
Exactly. I've got to leave it there. Richo, we'll ask you about point 2 next week, OK? Have a great week. Hollie Hughes, Prue McSweet, good to have you.
We'll just have one of our lunches. They'll be back in business.
All right, thank you, team. Coming up.